that we are on time. Welcome to our fourth Viceroy CySER Summer Workshop. This is a series we began in 2021 with the funding from the Department of Defense. Many of you here are CySER students, and I know there are some who have come to attend, and there may be people who would join us shortly, but in the interest of time, I want to get started. We are having an honor today to get us kicked off with some remarks about the College of Engineering and Architecture, the Boylan College of Engineering and Architecture. And we have Dean Partha Pratim Pandey. Dr. Pandey was also the director of the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science before becoming the dean. He would give us, and he has an important meeting to attend, and so he would leave like after his presentation, and so you may want to keep your questions quick in the interest of time. And so without any further ado, Partha, please give us your remarks.
Thank you, Asifa, for inviting me. Welcome everyone. As Asifa said, we have been doing this for last few years, and I'm sure that you'll have a rewarding experience. I'll take a few minutes to talk about overall structure of the college, both research and education. So we are one of the biggest college in the whole university system. We basically, you can see how we grew in the last decade. But one good thing is that we are really the university of the state. We have presence all over the state, and we are really supporting various types of students that we have. 23% of female, 1/3 first gen, 25% Pell Grant, students of color. So we are very well represented student body. And basically the whole graduate, undergraduate together, we are educating around 6,000 students every year. But also we have a distinguished list of faculty, multiple Regents professors, National Academy of Engineering member, Early Career Award winners, Washington State Academy of Sciences members, faculty fellows. So we are very proud of achievement of our faculty. Without significant research and academic accomplishments, you cannot get into this level of excellence. So these are the units: School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and CySER is housed in, that's the home for the your program. And the cyber security, both graduate and undergraduate program, basically that's the hub, and this is also the biggest unit in the college. And Professor Anand Kalyanaraman, who is the director of the school, he will talk to you guys about the school's mission. Then we have School of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. They have robotics program. There are a lot of this kind of security related stuff goes on. And then Boylan School of Chemical Engineering and Bioengineering, School of Design and Construction, Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. These 5 units are in Pullman. Then in the college, we have School of Engineering and Applied Science in Tri-Cities and School of Engineering and Computer Science in Vancouver. So as I said, this is a pretty broad program that the college leads, and we are one of the biggest units. So we have very vibrant research programs in energy, safe and secure. So your CySER comes on this safe and secure technology. But then due to the presence of School of Design and Construction, sustainable built environment is a important topic. And then engineering and design for health, that's another significant signature area of the college. We consistently ranked on the top tier of the program. But one thing we need to understand, that due to the vastness of the college and geographical distribution, there are multiple campuses, multiple units, and we all work together. Tri-Cities, one of the advantage of Tri-Cities campus is that co-location with Pacific Northwest National Lab. So a lot of security research goes on. So in addition to Pullman, I have hired multiple security faculty in Tri-Cities campus. Similarly, Everett, that's a complete educational undergraduate granting, but there also we have hired cyber security faculty. So cyber security is all over. But similarly, Vancouver campus, they are due to the nearness of Portland-based companies. I expect them to grow in semiconductor research. So that's why we say that we all have a role to play here. And similarly, what we look into that collaboration among multiple units. As I said, EECS with MME, there is some organic collaboration considering automation in manufacturing, robotics, etc. Similarly, in School of Chemical and Bioengineering Catalysis Research, we are looking into role of AI and machine learning. And of course, in your security work, AI machine learning has a big role to play. So AI-driven education is an important factor that college is embracing very aggressively. And as I said, you have seen the characteristics and awards our faculty get. So one of the signature areas and all these things are establishing research centers. We have a lot of faculty. They are very visible to the external community due to their accomplishment, and we maintain a very good collaboration relation with a lot of industries. One example is that ACL. I think ACL is involved with your CySER. ACL is the biggest company around here, and they do a lot of work with WSU students. The feedback I get from ACL is that they're very happy to recruit our students. So industry collaboration is one of the important factors. The college is growing like this is the fastest growing college in the university. Last year I hired 18 new faculty, as you know, multiple cybersecurity faculty, and this year we are hiring around a dozen new faculty. So 31 new faculty in last 18-20 months. That's a huge growth. And again, I'm repeating time and again that the role of security, even we have hired multiple faculty in power grid research, and that is a security of power grid. That's a very important research topic that our faculty, take part in. But in addition to research and industry collaboration, outreach, and all these things, as a university and as a college, one of the biggest factors that I take it very seriously is student success and belonging. What we are doing to make our students successful through our program. So in my time, we have started a lot of new initiatives so that nobody is left behind. Our target is to create work-ready day one graduates. And this is the first time the college has instituted full-ride Dean Scholarship, and we have 2 winners coming in this fall. So another thing we are working on, this called, we will come up with a name that EFIG, that Engineering First Year Interest Group, but we'll have a different name than other universities, where we'll have a cohort culture, that the freshman students, they will be guided by a relatively senior student who went through the curriculum to guide them, what class to take, what class to avoid. That's also important. Which homework session never miss. Sometimes you can goof around, not always. So you'll get all this kind of advice led by one of your senior peer, not by professors. And similarly, we are trying to make our curriculum evolve every, continuously evolving curriculum. And that's why, CySER is part of EECS, and EECS is embracing AI in education very vigorous. And that will continue. Even if we create new program, always we are keeping an eye that some nuclear and biomedical, these 2 things are getting huge attraction, and we didn't have these programs. We are working on creating these initiatives. And another thing we need to understand that when we are growing in research and student population, etc., we need to, have new attractive buildings. This is not something I want to have. So we are building this CySER Engineering Hall. That's a student-centric building. And after that, we'll be operating starting from fall of 26. So most of, at least more than my target is more than 50% of engineering classes will be in that building. And after that, we are going to fundraise for other buildings. So it's not only research and education. I am I know that we need to work on creating good spaces, and we are working towards that. With this, I'll stop and I can take 3-4 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much, Partha. Do you have any questions for the Dean? I know most of you are in computer science and in ECS, therefore, and I know some of you are in management and information systems, which is where this building is housed. And so CySER has got a certificate for both of them, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when Anand finishes his remarks. And we'll talk about CySER then. But do you have any questions for Partha?
Okay.
Wonderful. You did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And thank you for the support.
Yeah.
All right, next we're going to hear from the director of the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, Professor Anand Kalyanaraman, who was also an associate director for the school for many years before assuming that role. And he will say a few things about the school.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Good? Okay, good. Yeah. So it's actually my pleasure to actually be here. This is the third time, Hasifa, that I'm giving this presentation.
Yes,
just as an opening.
Yeah.
CySER is one of our flagship institutes at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, which is also part of the Violin College. So Dean Partha Pandey was talking all the things that are going on exciting at the college level. I decided not to put on slides, instead just talk to you and see whether that has the same level of excitement. Right? So as I get started, I want like 3 hands up, just 3, limit to 3, and briefly just tell me why you are here, why you're doing this workshop, why you're interested in cyber in general. So just 3 hands. Anyone? Feel free to, yeah.
Pursuing the CAECO certificate and enjoyed like network security and cloud computing.
You enjoy what?
Like network security.
Network security. Okay. So a particular area attracted you. That's great to know. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
As the industry gets more technical, it's going to be more necessary to have these kind of cybersecurity capabilities to protect ourselves and those around us.
Okay. So you're thinking broadly in terms of what we need as a community in terms of cyber support, and that's what got you here. It's a fair summary. Last. Yeah.
From a materials background, and I think she finds like materials discovery, so we need for materials informatics. I think that's going to have to tie into some kind of security of ours to protect all of that.
Okay, great.
Space. That's what we just.
So that's good to know. So basically, how do you bring cyber support into other kinds of areas like materials and materials design and so on? And this is excellent. Basically, that's what I was going to talk about, right? Why do we need to worry about cybersecurity, but think cyber in a broad sense, right? So at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, we basically do computer science, software engineering, cybersecurity, computer engineering, and electrical engineering. Those are the majors that we have at the undergraduate level. But the community as a whole is much, much broader than that. If you think about it, it's fair to say 21st century has become basically a digitized century, right? So many of you might not have been born when I was going through my undergraduate days, right? Late 90s and going into the 2000s. The penetration of the digital technology into society was much limited to the internet, right? Now, everything that you interact with, right? Starting from a mobile phone to your washing machine to whatever your Roomba robot, trying to do some basic cleaning, everything that you touch and feel and like interact with has some level of bits and bytes driving that process, right? So the moment that happens, we have to now also think about vulnerabilities. It's great that they are driving the processes, right? So how much are we exposed in terms of cyber vulnerabilities is a natural question to ask, right? It's not a paranoia, actually. It's a real question, right? To understand what level of not just vulnerabilities, but also capability that can possibly get enhanced or diminished based on some level of cyber operations, right? So what I would like to have you think about as going through part of this excellent workshop, the week-long workshop, and getting to interact with so many other of your peers, so maybe not just from computer science, but also elsewhere, is to wear your cybersecurity lens and look through that prism of all the things that you do on a daily basis, right? And the internet that you're using, the systems that you're using, the cyber physical systems that you're interacting with, like everything through the cyber lens. I think that will really put things in perspective of how important this particular area is. I was going through a National Academies report. This came out in 2025, this year sometime, earlier this year. It was called Cyber Hard Problems. Okay. Now, National Academy reports are pretty long. I don't recommend it as a way to, have like a nighttime reading just before you go to bed because you'll go to sleep. But they are written in such a way that's accessible to all of you, right? It doesn't matter which major, what's your background, nothing, right? So the National Academies report are written in a way that's accessible to the general public. And I strongly encourage you all going through that. Basically, it starts from understanding the risks and the mitigation aspects, right? So how would we assess risks when it comes to a community and as cybersecurity folks, like how do we understand what are the risks at play? What kind of systems we use, the composition of those systems, right? So if you use your cell phone and an app that gets delivered to you, it's not an isolated app. Data gets drawn from all over the place. It gets sent to the satellites and then sent back to the cloud servers. And then from cloud servers, some models are running, right? And then it's showing you the final result. There's a network aspect to it. There's an embedded system aspect to it. There's a cloud aspect to it. If you basically cut across the entire software stack, right? So you put basically your data, your information that you're seeing has percolated all the different layers, right? So that helps us understand what's at stake if anything goes wrong anywhere. The other thing is the people aspect. Cybersecurity is not just computer science. It's got a very strong social aspect, and for good reason. Because we are talking about human AI systems or human cyber systems, right? There is a level of human interaction that you would expect pretty much at every layer. Now, we have to understand who the people are that are using these systems and why they are using it in order to really understand what kind of modeling that we could do to understand either the cyber vulnerabilities or mitigation system or policies that come up with like reducing those risks and so on, right? Cyber forensics or whatnot. So this also needs to understand who the people are and why they are using these systems, right? So I work basically in a narrow part, which like I like to call AI for agriculture. So there is an institute that I'm running here at WSU. It's called the AgAid Institute. It's one of those AI institutes, basically that is funded through the partnership between US Department of Agriculture and National Science Foundation. We are starting to look at basically agriculture as a field that's basically adopting technology at a very fast rate. You go to any of the farms, how many of you are from the Seattle region here? Okay, as you drive, obviously you've seen a lot of farms along the way, apple orchards and grape wineries and so on. It's beautiful, right? But if once you go into the farms, you'll see a lot of technology, right? So you'll see sensing all the way from soil, measuring soil moisture to how much water gets drawn into the plants, into what kind of temperature and other variables, precipitation and so on that the plants are exposed to. Everything is measured, right? When you have measurements happening in a very distributed and network system, the data needs to be collected at some local place and it needs to be sent from that local place to the cloud. The data needs to be hosted in a cloud. then some AI models, machine learning models are doing some level of prediction. It says, okay, tomorrow there is some frost or there's a heat wave happening, right? So how much are the crops at risk? So some level of prediction and forecasting happens in the cloud systems, and then those recommendations, forecasts gets delivered back to the farmer so that they can visualize everything, the state of their farm as it is through a mobile app. That's where the technology is at right now. So what we are doing at the AI Institute is really to help the farmer make better data-informed decision. Now, if the data is compromised, the decisions also will be compromised, right? And most of these kinds of data are being measured. They are being put together by basically instrument sensors that have been manufactured elsewhere. It's a third party. No one has really control over what goes on into this device, right? So how do we model this kind of a very heterogeneous system, which is confined to a certain space, right? If you think about a farm and the farm is interacting with a cloud server, and so you can actually model it, right? Then if you have a modeling capability, which has a high fidelity, you can also simulate it. And then you can ask what if scenarios. That's what I think we are headed towards as a community, right? Everything, as we call it, the open world around us and how we are all digitally connected, can we model that? And that modeling aspect can go a long way in understanding what kind of decisions made at what point could trigger what kind of responses. And that is a very, very key fundamental capability that as a cyber community, I think we should think about it, right? So it's a fascinating area with so many different opportunities, so many different ways to work with different kinds of stakeholders and partners in this area. So my only message to you is think beyond your classrooms, right? Classrooms are great. You'll be given one course, right? Here are a bunch of projects. Your job coming out of every classroom should be to not just say, have I understood what was presented in this particular lecture or classroom well, but you should come out thinking, what else is it connected to? Maybe I did a course in a basic intro to cybersecurity, and then followed it up with a course in network security. What are the links? What are the common threads? And then you start talking with someone in materials or someone in other engineering, what kind of cyber challenges they could be facing. So broaden your horizon. The more broader you have your perspective, the farther you will be able to go along in the way you approach these kinds of problems, right? So with that message, I want to close out essentially just saying, hey, you are in the right place. This is a great workshop. This is a great seminar. And, you take maximum use of get maximum mileage out of this, because not many universities have this kind of fantastic programs. And we are so fortunate to have the support from the Department of Defense for starting the CySER program. When Asifa started this about maybe 4 years with Bernie, right? So 4 years now. So we have a pretty well-established record here. So when you go out for job market, you will have that stamp that you can proudly put on your resume, saying, I went through not just this workshop, but I was part of this program, this particular community. Never think of a program as just, I'm taking a set of courses and so on. At the end of the day, when you graduate, if you go out with a strong sense of community, where you can associate with a few people that you actually have worked together on things, that is a very, very important asset, right? Because that's what really real world is like. You never work in isolation in your own space. You are going to be interacting constantly with other people. So you need to know how to work with other people and so on. So have a strong sense of community building, have a broader perspective on what cybersecurity should mean and how that relates to whatever you're doing. And those are the key elements that you should think about. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anand, for those great words of wisdom. I think he would have maybe available for a few minutes if you have questions. I will be using the rest of the half hour to give an overview of what the workshop is and also remind some of you about CySER in general. And we'll have a keynote at 10, and we want to be precise on everything. And so if you have a question for Anand while he's here, this is the time to ask.
Yeah.
How do you engage with ag aid,
How do I engage? How do I engage with them?
Ag aid.
like one of us, how would we engage?
How would you engage? Okay, great question. Yes. As a matter of fact, we are in the 4th year of the institute. We have one more year to go at the institute. It's a federally funded institute. That's how things work, right? I mean, they have a defined clock. Of course, we plan to establish a longer term center around this because it's an important area for the state, right? Washington is big on agriculture. We are an emerging tech place with all the action that's going on and so on. So as a student, we actually have summer internship, but it's too late to apply now, right? I mean, we are just starting. About 20 students will be doing internships and so on. We did hackathons, multiple hackathons. I don't know if you were very part of that or okay. So as your face looked familiar, yeah. So we do have these hackathons, we do have these summer internships and things like that to mainly provide some opportunity to work with us, right? But even during the academic semesters, there are researchers in campus like myself and a few others who are working on some related problems. It could be something to do with farm scale decision support or water management and things like that. There's also a group that's doing robotics and ag robotics more specifically. Most of the robotic implements are actually in the WSU Prosser campus, west of Tri-Cities, between Yakima and Tri-Cities. So there are some opportunities that could trickle in when it comes to research opportunities. But at the least, I think you can get familiarized with what's going on in this particular area, ag tech, farm tech, and so on, right? That ecosystem. And there's plenty of information online. I'm more than happy to provide any pointers as needed. Okay.
There will be one poster today at 3 that has to do a little bit about cybersecurity in agriculture. So that will be one place to start today at 3 p.m. Any other questions for Anand?
So I'd like to just make a quick note since you mentioned ag cybersecurity. That's part of our really an area for us to really invest. And Asifa and I and a few others in our department are looking at creating a new initiative in ag cybersecurity. We participated in our initial white paper that hopefully will get published in a good place. It's a network of universities, WSU, and then there's a Midwest University. There's one in the East Coast, one in Southwest. Hopefully these things will go and lead us into establishing a center or an institute like CySER, but focus more on agricultural cybersecurity. If that happens, that's a great direct way to get engaged. Right? Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Anand.
Okay. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to use the next half hour or so, and maybe 25 minutes, so that we get a 5 minutes break before our keynote address at 10 a.m. I don't know if you have noticed, but we've got, donuts and coffee and water and some beverage outside. And this is not just for today, for the rest of this week. It will happen. What I would like to remind you is, because we also have that, it would be good to come 10 minutes or so before 9 to make sure that we are all here. And every session for the week, I was going to start sharp at 9. And some of our speakers are virtual, going to be virtually speaking. And so we would like to make sure that we are on time and not run behind. My name is Asafal Gabramajan. I know many of you. I lead this institute called CySER, Viceroy CySER, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that and this workshop's overview. This was started in 2021. Bernie and a few other colleagues were among the ones who started it, and it has been growing so far. And many of you are in the program already, and some of you are not. And so let me maybe just tag on to what Anand said. The School of ECS is very big. Electrical Engineering and Computer Science is what the ECS stands for, and we've got 5 degree programs there. The oldest one being Electrical Engineering, and we had CySER students in past years majoring in that. With computer engineering, which is relatively recent, Arthur himself is the computer engineering faculty and teaches courses in that. Computer science, which is where I belong, is big, very, very big. And those of you who are interested in computer science know this, especially when you look at your 100 level courses and you have very big classes. WSU is one of the universities that I know in the country that have got a separate software engineering program. This is very similar to computer science, but there is also a focus on large, complex software, and then that engineering aspect of it is another area, and that's a major on its own. And we've got our newest addition, cybersecurity, which came as a result, direct result of CySER. We started off with having courses to build and very demanding ones. Those of you are pursuing the CAE/CO Fundamentals Certificate know that if you really add a little bit to it, it becomes a degree program. And so with support from the state of Washington and CySER as the catalyst, we got added a new degree. And so the color here, I used to lead the recruitment efforts for EECS, and this would be a slide I would show every time parents and high school students would come to campus to decide which major they should go. And I say, the color gets darker when it's newer. So the older ones got a lighter color. That's the idea here. Viceroy, by now, I know most of you are in CySER, may not think about it very much, and it has a very convenient name, but it stands for a very long list of things. Virtual Institute, that's the VI part. Cyber and Electromagnetics, that's the CNE, Research and Employ. And this is something that had been brewing for some time, since 2018, 19, around that time, but got formally formed in 2021, and we were one of the first 3 virtual institutes in the country to be funded. And the idea is to have virtual institute throughout the US and have as a goal to meet the growing need in cybersecurity professionals in the DoD space, either as a civilian or ROTC and for military careers. So the mission is to train DoD aligned civilian workforce and ROTC people in cybersecurity. And the unique nature in it was to integrate research and education. That's what CySER focuses on, with professional skills in teamwork, leadership, and lifelong learning. In other words, experiential learning. And so CySER is a consortium of 4 universities. Washington State University is the lead. The other 3 universities are University of Idaho, Montana State University, and Central Washington University. And all 4 of these universities have vibrant ROTC programs in them. And our goal in CySER in particular is to position WSU to become National Security Agency's designation called Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity. And in particular, we would like to pursue this in cyber operations. If you have been to CySER, you know this. This is like the sort of things we do. And you also know there is certificate programs we have and the new degree program. But there is a whole bunch of activities, and some of the areas in which CySER focuses is what you see at the center. This is primarily for those of you who are not in CySER, or even if you are in CySER, to be reminded of the things that constitute the certificate that you are pursuing. I wish there was another word. Certificate is overused, and sometimes it doesn't really tell what you're doing. But what we have, and it is now codified, you find this in WSU catalog, is that when you finish this program, you do go out with your diploma, whatever major you have, that's your bachelor's degree, but you also have a WSU certificate. And that means you have done these 6 things. And I'm going to separate this for those of you who are in more computer science focused, computer science, software engineering, cybersecurity, and those of you who are in management, information systems, and as Anand said, you could have been in others. And we do have CySER students who are outside of MIS or CS, other disciplines, then they need also cybersecurity there is unique contribution they make. So we've designed 2 certificates. One called CAE/CO, the CAE is there is for the Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Operation, and the basics is something that we have created for this other one. So common to both of them is a coursework requirement. The one on the first category has a heavy coursework requirement, and there are 3 required cybersecurity courses, 9 credits, and then you have a long list of things that you can choose from for additional 4 elective courses. That already makes some like 21 credits of cybersecurity related coursework. That's a lot. On the basic side, we have some other kind of requirement that kind of reflect the nature of the major people are having, and that would be the coursework requirements for you too. And then the rest of the things become similar. In both cases, we want those majors, when they are pursuing this certificate, to do their senior design, if they are computer science or electrical engineering students, or if they are in other majors, they are called capstone. Their capstone or senior design project should focus on cybersecurity. And we have a lot of latitude there, what actually means cybersecurity. The connection could be tangential, or they could be very much technical things in cybersecurity. Either way, your senior design or capstone project should focus on cybersecurity. And we've got great industry partners and great ways in which faculty, including the Ag Aid or CySER faculty or other faculty who have research that they do where such a thing could be easily done. My lab sponsored 3 senior design projects this May. The ones who graduated this May, 3 of them, Zach is one of them, in having their projects done with mentors from my lab, students leading the efforts. And there were some great research questions. Some of them have gotten something that was done a little bit before, and some of them were brand new, and they did an excellent job executing them. And the other is a requirement for internship. This is where the experiential learning portion in Viceroy in general and CySER in particular come in. People get to spend the summer 8 weeks or 10 weeks somewhere doing internship related to cybersecurity. We've got an MIS student sitting here who is doing an internship this summer. It's related to cybersecurity, but the most thing that we want to encourage our CySER students to do are internships sponsored by the Viceroy program itself. They're called Maven when you do them for the first time, and if you do it the second time, it's called Envoy. And Maven students would go to Rome, New York, to the Griffiths Institute, and in collaboration with the Air Force Research Lab, you get an excellent internship there, working on cybersecurity problems that are of direct interest to DoD. I know personally the people who are behind that. It is an excellent program. It's very competitive. Viceroy now is a big national program with 13 virtual institutes, like CySER, where there are 12 others, and 44 or so universities. And so there will be very many students who apply, and it is competitive. And something like 36 to 40 students is what we have seen in the last couple of years who would go there. We were fortunate, and we had excellent students from WSU with a very strong participation in that. Something like 25% of the students participated from WSU. And so I know there is, I don't know the number now, but maybe close to 7 or 8 or even 9 Mavens from WSU will be going this summer. And so internship is a requirement. And then there is a mentored research which you have done. You are all first year. Most of you who are in CySER are in a first year. That's why you are taking the workshop now. Next year, you would not have to do it again. It will be a different one, but the other students would be recruited then would do. But during your first year, in the second semester, you do research mentored by faculty in CySER and graduate students who will directly work with you. And that kind of culminates in a poster, which we'll see today at 3 p.m. And so that's the 4th requirement. And then we've got a vibrant bi-weekly seminar series that's virtual. You all know this. And we do have great speakers from government, industry, and academia coming in. And the summer workshop, which is this. And this year we have it in 1 week, but in past semester, like years, we've had for 2 weeks or a week and a half. And we've got a website that has comprehensive information about things that are related to our program. Those part directly or indirectly, Anand also mentioned, we have a strong, and the WSU, EECS, the college, have a very strong emphasis on supporting students. And I could not be happier with the kind of engagement the cybersecurity student club, they're called cybersecurity group. Zach was a president for the last 3 years, and now we have another awesome president, Sean. And this club was reinvigorated, and it kind of got back again as a result of CySER, and they do a lot of great things. I know there are other student clubs on campus that kind of have got something that would tie them with this group, and they do interact, but they have accomplished a lot of things. They participate in competitions, and some of the competitions are very big national competitions, like the National Cyber League, for example, which they have done both seasons, fall and spring, the last 3 years. And the very latest thing that they did this spring, they were ranked 27th, I have heard, among 400 plus universities, schools, and so on. That's huge. And that's a lot of work. And they do have a lot of things that they have learned, and something that we are very proud of. Viceroy itself has national competitions, and the 2024 one happened around Thanksgiving time, or maybe I should say Halloween time. And so inspired by that, I think there was a competition called Spectrum Clock. And The national winners were WC students. And that is something we are very proud of. And there is a poster coming that we will be receiving now that I will be proudly hanging in the School of ECS for some time and then move it to the club's kind of room where they would be displayed. So very great things. Competitions are a great way to learn about teamwork, to solve problems under constraints, time, and have a mission to accomplish. It is in that sense that I believe in. Otherwise, competitions, just for the sake of competitions, are not necessarily a great thing that I advocate for, but in cybersecurity and for certain things, they are a way to learn, to work together as a team, solve a problem where you have constraint, as I said, including time. And you would get a lot of support if you join this club, if you're not already. But I know CySER students are very, very active in the club. They are officers. I know a couple of them are right now in the room, and you should talk to them. We have been very fortunate to have some outstanding students. Strong participation in Maven and Envoy internships was a signature thing. I know the ones who have graduated this year are our first big cohort of students. I counted something like 17 students who graduated either from computer science, computer engineering, or electrical, or management and information systems through the CySER program. So they are proud holders of one of those two certificates, and they were some of the best students in their batches. And you've got some pictures here that shows what they have done and some of the things that they excelled on. I'm going to very quickly tell you about the cybersecurity degree program at WSU. This is a new major. We designed it in such a way that it becomes very easy for somebody to switch from computer science to cybersecurity if they wanted to. And even if they joined with the cybersecurity declared interest right from the beginning, their first 2 years will be very much similar to their computer science peers. And we have a strong emphasis on having the foundational things in computer science taken care of. So 2 years of very heavy computer science, and then the last 2 years with cybersecurity focus. And those 2 years are going to be met with courses that we specifically designed to meet a lot of design concentrations. ABET, national security, the CAE requirements, and the goal, like you would set for yourself to finish in 4 years and not spend more than that. All of these things led us to create some very interesting courses. Many of you in computer science have taken some of these. One of the courses is actually a required course for every major in CS. And we've got 7 required courses and 4 electives. One of the electives on cyber law ethics and rights and policies was never offered before, will be offered for the first time this fall. I'll be co-teaching it, teaming up with a philosophy professor, and you will hear from that professor for a different topic or on a topic on ethics in this workshop. These are some of the courses you do in your first 2 years before you dive into cybersecurity. At WSU, got a lot of strengths in cybersecurity, AI and cybersecurity intersection, software engineering and cybersecurity intersection, cyber physical systems that includes power grids, but also other things. Critical infrastructure security, cryptography. You will hear from one of the people who do cryptography at WSU in this workshop. Hardware security, that's where chips and other things in terms of hardware, web security and privacy, and cyber education, which I'm personally very interested in. And along with James Crabb, we've done some good work in trying to see what innovative things can be done in cyber education. The last thing I want to tell you, so I've told you about the cybersecurity degree program that grew out of CySER, but another major thing that has actually come as a result of both the new degree program and the activities we have in CySER is a funding we got from the National Science Foundation to establish something called Cyber Corps Scholarship for Service, which is a program that NSF has run for very many years, and we got this for the first time now, where you would be paid to study in return for working for the government after you finish your studies. And so this is housed within ECS, so it's open for BS in cybersecurity or BS in computer engineering or software engineering students on the undergraduate level or similar degrees at the graduate level. And the requirement here is to be a US citizen or a permanent resident and be full-time student at WSU. And if you are an undergrad, if you have 2 years left in your study, you are eligible. So the time to apply for it would be in your sophomore year. And so your junior and senior year will be supported. So you get your tuition paid and you get really a big chunk of money, $27,000 a year when you are an undergrad and $37,000 a year when you are a graduate student. The point is, you would not have to work. You would be completely focused on your study and acquire very critical need we have in cybersecurity and be ready for qualifying kind of job in the government after you graduate. You commit to work for the government for as many years as you were supported. So if you were supported for 2 years, you commit to work for the government for 2 years. Otherwise, you would have to repay and you would have to run a lot of problems, which is not good for us. And so we have that secured. Our first cohort of students now will come in fall 2025. We have identified 4 students, 3 undergraduates and 1 graduate student who will be going through that program. Those of you who are in CySER, think about this if you are early enough now and do this next year when it comes. Our goal is to have this program run for the next 5 years. And each year, it is what we set up as a goal. These numbers could just be slightly tweaked, but that's our overall goal, to train through this program 20 undergraduates and 6 graduates by the time it is finished. And we will welcome our first cohort of students in the fall. Within this SFS program, the kind of strengths of areas that I told you earlier are reflected, and I lead that effort. And I've got 3 KPIs, all 3 of whom you will see one way or another through this workshop this week, either as a demo session or presentations, and you see some of the strength areas where this one is. This brings me now to where we are for this workshop. We've got an exciting week. We are on the first half of the day today, and we have 5 other days. Got 2 field trips, one to SEL full month, and the other one to Moscow, where they do full one does relays and power grid things, and the Moscow one is a newer one. They have boards and chips and things like that. Both of them are very much related to cybersecurity. We've been fortunate. Every time we have this workshop, we had a field trip to SEL Pullman, and we say, we like it so much, we want to also see the other campus, and they were nice enough to say okay to that. And so those 2 days, half day, we'll take a trip there. The other things are going to happen here. And we've got 2 demo sessions, one on cyber physical systems tomorrow morning, and another one on digital forensics Wednesday morning. The digital forensics demo will happen here. The cybersecurity system, the cyber physical system security will involve some small robots that need to move around. So this will not be a good room. So we will do that in Daggy Hall 232. And today at 3 p.m., we'll have the poster session from you. And we'll be awarded certificates there, take pictures and stuff like that. And for that, we'll move to Brian Hall. Other than that, you see how the topics are laid out. Most of you have probably checked out the website. I'm very excited about the speakers who are having. So we did see the first 2 kind of introductions and myself giving you an overview now. But at 10, we would have a keynote address, which I will introduce in a second, and when the time comes. And then the rest of the days are like this. So I would like to stop here and see if you have any questions so that I give you time to maybe walk, use a bio break or something. And so we'll come back 5 minutes to 10. So I introduce the speaker, and at that time the keynote will happen. But do you have any questions? Did everybody get? Oh, sure.
I have a question.
Sure.
Project for service.
Sure.
Is that any government job? So any government agency, not including NSA or FBI?
Yeah, all those 3-letter things that are of the government are fair game. NSA is actually the big one, CISA, but there is very many others. It should be state, federal, local, or even tribal. As long as it's government, everything is fair game. And it is very long list, but those are the primary ones. Any other questions? If you want to know more about SFS, the program we run, we don't have a whole lot of breaks and so on, but talk to me later on, or maybe check out the website. So it has got enough information that you need to know, but it has to be one of the programs I mentioned, and we have made it even more specific in terms of what courses you're targeting. So if you're a CySER student, you are almost there, but if you're not, then the C. You don't have to be a CySER student. It will be the coursework portion of the CySER fundamental certificate would meet the coursework requirements for the SFX. That also has got internship, but it is a different kind. Any other questions? Did everybody get their coffee? Now is maybe a good time to grab it. So I would like you to be back 5 minutes to 10. And you can ask me anytime during the week. All right? I'll see you.